Manny Pacquiao. What happened? How did that come about? How did it fall apart? Can you just kind of walk through that?
So, you know, I'll him as my advisor, and so I said to him, I spoke to Michael Koncz, who is advisor of Manny Pacquiao, has got in touch with my team and said, look, we want the Amir Pacquiao fight. So Manny did like a vote he did like a poll, and I got the highest, like 50% of the votes were me. The other three fights, which was Kell Brook, Jeff Horn, and Crawford, got a lot less than me. So I got the highest votes. A lot of people thought the fight's gonna happen now. He wanted to see what the hype was gonna be like. Manny did, and he saw what the hype was. So he knew that it was an interesting fight. Also, there's a lot of history between that, you know, with me and Manny training together. We used to train with Freddie Roach, so there's a lot of history. And we're friends, but sometimes you put your friendship to the side. But it just seemed to me that the reason the fight didn't happen is because, you know, Bob Arum wanted the Jeff Horn fight for Manny. So that's why that fight got made. Otherwise, I think me and Manny, everything was there. And also, the investors in Dubai or Abu Dhabi, wherever they were from, were a little bit slow on bringing the deal to the table. But the money was there. But that's what I was told. But then when I spoke to when my team spoke to the investors directly, you know, everything's there, and they said that, look, it's Manny's team that didn't want the fight.
Wow.
But I just think that it's not fair on a fighter. You know, when you know you might have a big fight ahead of you, and they're just playing you along, saying the fight's gonna happen, and the fight doesn't happen. You know, I mean, I know I'm gonna get a lot of criticism. People saying to me, "Oh, you know, you were chasing the Manny Pacquiao fight, and you waited so long and wasted so much time in your career." But you know what? They would have done the same thing, because we got so close with everything. We negotiated everything. The only thing that wasn't done was the contract signing. That's the only thing that was never done.
Yeah.
You know, so it's not my fault. I only wanted to give the fans the best fight out there, and that fight for me was a big fight, and it didn't happen. So we just have to move on to other things now.
That's what I was gonna say. It sounds like, I mean, your team verified that the money was there and everything was good to go, but at the end of the day, it sounds like Bob didn't really want to do the fight.
Yeah, I mean, you know, maybe at this stage of Manny's career, it wasn't the right fight, and maybe Bob didn't think that. Bob, being the advisor and promoter of Manny Pacquiao, the boss really, you know, he didn't want the fight, so that's the reason the fight didn't happen. But look, maybe in the future that fight can happen. I think it'll be massive, do big numbers all around the world. It'll be a massive fight. So let's see if it happens. Yeah, you know, I respect Manny Pacquiao and his team, but it's just one of them things. I'm just upset that it didn't happen. But and you know, he's going ahead fighting someone like Jeff Horn, who no one really heard of. But I mean, look, not saying Manny deserves a nice, chewed up fight, you know, because he's always been in tough fights and giving us that great entertainment. You know, and that he does. So I'm just gonna carry on with my career. He's to carry on with his career, and if we meet, we meet.
If that fight did come back, you know, to the table, I mean, would you be as willing to jump in on it again? I mean, after experiencing what you just experienced, dealing with them?
It just depends who we are speaking to. You know, that's and if it comes from someone like Bob, the boss, he's the boss really. You know, where what he says goes, in my opinion, then I think the fight can happen. If not, then, you know, there's other names out there, and look, I got big fights ahead of me. I got like the Kell Brook fight that could happen. The Garcia rematch can happen. I'd love to fight Thurman because I think stylistically it's a great fight for me. So I've got big fights ahead of me anyway. So I'm not in a bad position.